everyone. Welcome to Talk Tuesday, a series that is dedicated to empowering youth and families. This series is brought to you by Steps Foundation, Inc., where advocacy meets education for the betterment of young minds. Each month, we explore meaningful topics designed to inspire growth, spark creativity, and equip our listeners with the tools they need to thrive. I am Abigail Ellis, the Executive Director and Founder here at Steps Foundation, Inc. This month, we're diving into a topic that every person faces and at some point in life, but few of us openly talk about it, and that's rejection. So whether it's a relationship that didn't work out, not making the team that you desired to meet, being turned down for an opportunity, or feeling left out, rejection definitely hurts. But what if we could see it not as a reflection of our worth, but as a moment to grow, to reflect, and to build resilience? Rejection doesn't have to stop us, but it can shape us. It can point us in a new direction, strengthen our self-worth, and remind us that our values is not defined by who says no to us, but how we say yes to ourselves. This February, we're leaning and we're learning on how to face rejection with courage, protect our peace, and turn every closed door into a step towards a better one. So whether you're a teen, a parent, or just someone figuring it out, you are not your setbacks. You're your strength, your bounce back, and your next bold step. So now we're going to get into it because your comeback story starts here. I'm passing it over to Anastasia so that she can start our questions.
Thank you. Okay, so the first question is, how can someone stay motivated to try again after rejection?
Let's start off with this one. Because rejection is just one time. It's the one time. You can always come back later when you improve. You can work on that skill. You can work on it. You can look for other places. It's just one opportunity. There's a million of the same opportunity out there. You just got to look for it. You just got to improve yourself and improve those skills so that you can be more qualified. And sometimes it's them. So you got to search for other places. Maybe that just wasn't your place to be. So there's always other opportunities.
Man, we're gonna go there first thing Tuesday, starting the week off like this. Um, it's sis, this is why I love your show. This is why I love you. The energy is so real and all encompassing. I was actually thinking about this over the weekend, and I don't know why, but rejection, right? And then your motivation. So I was going. Happiness can't be conditional. And what do I mean by that? Like you can't say, "Oh, when I get this job, I'm gonna be happy," or when this happens, I'm gonna be happy, or when this happens, I'm gonna be happy. The happiness is crazy because the way this country is constituted and written, it says, and I quote, "in the pursuit of happiness." Well, for me, I believe happiness is internal. It's an acceptance of where you are, where your feet are, good, bad, or indifference. But to place value on something that didn't even happen, I think diminishes the thought about happiness. So how do you stay motivated in rejection is to understand that whether that rejection happened or not, were you happy prior to that? You feel me? Like, does that make sense? Because if all of a sudden the rejection happens and now you lack motivation and then now you're not happy, well, you weren't motivated in the first place and you wasn't happy in the first place. So find the where you are right now. Be at peace with that. So when the rejection comes, it's just part of the raw material. That's all it is. It's another opportunity for you to be great. Me and my boys used to say this like all the time. Like, if you miss a dunk, don't trip. It's another opportunity for you to be great again at some point in time, right? And so that's for me. That's how you navigate or staying motivated during rejection is finding your peace and your happiness prior to that and then finding the root of your motivation. Is your motivation only for that one particular thing that brought on the rejection, or is your motivation something else? Because if it's something else, it's going to outweigh that rejection, and you're just going to keep going. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't mean to make that all complicated, but that's where we going. Like, that's off the rip. That's where we going.
I like that. I really do. You got to the foundation first before you got to the question. I like both of your responses. But here's a follow-up. How can you stay motivated when it's rejection continuously? So you don't get the job, or you get broken up, or you hurt your toenail all in one day, all in 1 hour. How do you keep like going? How do you keep reminding yourself? Because it's hard to stay motivated when there's constantly daggers being thrown at you. So,
That's phenomenal. And that's so I had a conversation earlier today. This is why I love this. Um, and I'll answer that question back to you as this way. Are you interested or are you committed? Right? And what I mean by that, if you're going to ask the question, how do you stay motivated? So I say this, okay, so you got a flat tire on your way to your job interview, and then you ran out of gas. And then you got a bird took a poop on your outfit. All of these darts, like you said, happen, and then you didn't get the job. Are those external factors the reason you didn't get the job? Right? So if if we're committed, one, to our motivation, then nothing matters. We got a baseline, but I'm committed to that. It doesn't matter if I met the president of the foundation. Doesn't matter if I met the crossing guard or whoever. I'm committed to what I'm doing, and nothing will interfere with that. Are you interested? If you're interested in said object or thing, then anything could deter you and negate your motivation. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we're going to the root cause, how do you stay motivated? You have to find out what your motivation is. And are you committed to that? Like in your internal spirit. So I said this to some young people the other day. You know, people think you got to go up on this mountain where it's quiet and nobody's around in the middle of the ocean to find peace. If you haven't exercised the demons or addressed the demons or anxieties inside you, they're going to be with you on that mountain. So, right here and right now, where's your motivation? Have you addressed it? Have you acknowledged it? Have you reconciled it? And once you anointed it and appointed it, that that's my baseline for motivation, then everything else is just external factors.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
feel
was
like I don't need to touch none of this because
uh-uh.
look, it's Smitty and Lamar show at this point. Listen,
Come on, come on, come on.
I'm loving these answers because I feel there's so much to both sides, right? Um, I love Smith, like you going into gravitating towards that root cause because it is true. So what does a person find that motivation? And it's true. It starts with what were you committed to begin with? Because what is truly making you happy in that moment? I always look at tomorrow's another day. We all have a day that sucks. Let's just be real. Like I love Anastasia coming back with the what happens when you didn't get the job, when you broke up with your girlfriend, when you stubbed your toe on the end of the bed. Look, now you ain't got no money in your bank account, so the card got declined. You know, all the things. And there are days where it will be thing after thing after thing. But that motivator is tomorrow will be different. So while today is my day and it's doomsday today, I'm not waking up to doomsday tomorrow. We're not doing that. So what is my tomorrow really going to look like? So I would say for me personally, it's the waking up to tomorrow. What happened today already happened. It is what it is. What can I do right now to make my tomorrow better? And it may be waking up and saying, we are not on repeat. It may be waking up and saying, I am capable and I am worthy of all the good that's going to come my way. And I am a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. So if that was your dream job and you didn't get it, you didn't belong to be there to begin with. And that could have been because of the people that you might have been getting ready to work with. They were not your type of people. It could have been because that company is not the company that you belong in, because your values don't align. There is always a reason why something does not work out, and I'm a firm believer in that. So hopefully you find motivation in that, and understanding that that one no is going to lead you to 20 other yeses. You didn't belong in that space, whatever that space is. You didn't make the team, that wasn't your team. There's another team over there waiting to accept you and take you in. That friend group left you out, they weren't your friends anyway. There's another group of people who are willing to accept you for who you are. You don't have to change for those people. So, motivation, tomorrow is a new day.
And that
Wow.
was fully what I was about to say. But now, let's add on to that. Because with tomorrow is another day, right? With all that rejection going on your day in that one day, and it's all doomsday, now with this motivation, how do we put that into account for that next day? So, life is about expectations. It's about goals. That's what everybody wants that narrative to be, right? But life is really about you. What am I going to do? How am I going to feel for this next day? If it was doomsday yesterday, how do I take that into today? And how can I build off that? Right? If you stubbed your toe on that bedside and you went to bed with that, right? How am I going to take that into account tomorrow? How can I build off that into tomorrow? See, let's say, let's start the day off positive. I ain't going to stub my toe today. See, let's not do that because I know that hurt. Let's say you had to, your girlfriend broke up with you yesterday. Let's say, hey, there's always other fish in the sea. There's always new people for you to meet. There's always new people for you to stick with. Everyone wants to find the one. If you spend all this time and energy just for them to break apart, clearly that wasn't your one. I'm not saying you wasted your time. You never waste your time. If something happens, it happens for a reason. Just like you said, I'm a firm believer in that. Everything happens for a reason. So if you overcommitted, you didn't waste your time. But now what is that motivation to keep going? So how can we use that?
Love that. Wow. Everybody is a motivator in here. I love that. I would just put for my last bit, to always remember to be optimistic in this pessimistic world. No matter what happens, it's life. Life does not control you, but you do not control it. However, you do control the actions because actions come with consequences and cause comes with effects. So, I'm glad we went over that. That was really nice. Um, so what's an example? Or what's a time in your life where you actually went through rejection? Because a lot of people talk about rejection, but what's something that you dealt with that was like, oh, I don't know if I could get back from this one, but you did.
Oh, kindergarten was a rough time for me, especially being so young when everything happened. I was being rejected by life at that time. Life was not on my side back then, but I got through it. I was ready to give up, like ready to give up, but I had all the support, even though for a certain time period in that time, because of misunderstandings and miscommunication on certain aspects of the time, yes, I did not have that support for a while. And being so small, that was disheartening, especially for that happening for so long. But we ended up getting through it. Uh, it ended up being a crucial but very needed experience for me. I ended up growing through that because if I didn't, and I just ended up staying stuck over there, that would get me nowhere to where I am now. That would just lead me stuck back there and wouldn't let me move forward. So for that, motivation is just keep going. Keep pulling through because pulling through is going to move you forward so that you can move on and heal from it. And it's gonna let you learn something from it, even if it's years down the line. You're gonna realize you can learn something from everything. Everything in life is a learning experience. Let it be rejection, where you feel like life is against you. The universe is just turning over you. Get through it. Just push through. No matter how hard it is, you can get through it.
Feel like saying, "Come on, young unk. I see you. I see you." I had to say it. I could not say it. Look, because I be over here like just smiling in the corner, like Smith, like, yeah, Smith, you know.
First, I would just want to commend my nephew for sharing the vulnerability that it takes to say some of the words you just shared out loud. I don't think at your age I could have done that. So nothing but respect to you to share that. And I hope some young person listens to what he just said. Because I could tell you a whole bunch of things. I'm 54 years old, but it probably won't resonate like it has when nephew said it, you know. But I will say this from my point, old man stuff is, I can't really recall, and I'm not trying to be like everything has went my way because it hasn't, but I can't recall like one specific rejection, right? But in the totality of life, I don't want to say it's a constant life is constant rejection, but there are times where you have to look at it. Okay, maybe it was rejection, and I think Sis said it earlier. That just wasn't my season for that. You know what I'm saying? That I wasn't prepared for it. It wasn't ready for me. Whatever the case was, rejection comes in many different forms, not just the no part of rejection, but the the participation in something, the acknowledgement of something. I didn't get this award or whatever the case, so you feel rejected, right? You may have done something nice for someone and they didn't acknowledge it. You felt rejected. So I think rejection comes in many different forms, I guess, activities, nonverbal exercises, things of that nature. But I think just understanding, you know, I think we need to define the word resiliency when we talk about rejection, uh, because resiliency is a legacy factor. In order to do anything, to get anywhere, you have to be resilient in the face of rejection or what you may perceive as rejection. And we all face it in many different forms. And I can't eloquently say it like my nephew just said it, but you have to be resilient. And it sounded, and it's testimony to him being here right now, being able to express it that he has been resilient and continues to be resilient. So when you think rejection, also put resiliency in there because they go hand in hand.
Look, and I'm gonna expand on what you said by saying this. Life will always be full of losses. That is life. It will be full of pains. That is life. Life will be full of things that suck. It will be against you at certain points. That's how life goes. but it's all about how you take it and how you apply it for the next situation. It's all about how you feel and how you can learn from it to take it for the future. Because when we think about life, we think about past, future, and present. Okay, I had to say that right. Let's go back to September when Salika said that L is for them lessons, right? Let's take that into the face of rejection and let's take it in there because every rejection is a loss and every rejection is a lesson. Every rejection is a new lesson we can learn. It's something that we can take and use not only as a lesson, but as a motivator for the next lesson so we can take it forward.
Did I hear a mic drop? Mic drop 1 2 1 2.
Those were really good. I like how Smitty turned the resilience into the conversation when it comes to rejection, because that is super important. And Lamar, I also give you your tens for putting that out there. Resilience is a really big one that helps with rejection. Um, but this is kind of like a scenario type of question because I know a lot of teens face this, and I will hope more of us could answer with this one. How do you, if you're in a situation with a friend who is not well with rejection and therefore they are always negative, they always have something to say, do you continue being their friend? Do you continue giving them advice? And if they don't take your advice, do you walk away as a friend? Because I know that there's a lot of teens out there that are a little bit scared of leaving that friend because you know when you're around a person that's like, well, if you leave me, everybody hates me. So, how do you deal with that?
I think for me, it's like communication is a big part that like goes into that. And so the first thing would be to communicate, but if it's still like if it starts like affecting me and I feel like it's affecting me negatively to have them around and they still don't understand or just can't like cooperate, then I'll just like start not I wouldn't like drop them like completely, you know what I mean? But just like slowly distance myself so it wouldn't be like so harsh on them, but also like I wouldn't be affected negatively.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And sometimes you can try your best to help somebody and you do it out of the kindness of your heart, right? Because you want the best for the people who are around you. But sometimes you can't let a drowning person pull you under the waves as well. So it's like you have to teach yourself that you are not responsible for the decisions of other people. You can tell them what's the right way to handle things or giving your honest opinion, but if they don't take that advice to heart and don't apply it to their lives, that is not on you. And you can have them try to seek advice somewhere else, from more of a professional standpoint. But the best thing that you can do is just sometimes it's just let them learn the lessons by themselves.
And with that comes you can tell somebody everything that you know, but they can choose to ignore it. It's their choice at the end of the day. Like, you can try to convince them, but you can't really control what they do. So if they're trying to pull you under, then eventually you're going to have to distance yourself so you don't get pulled under. Because the moment you get pulled under, you're suffering too. You're suffering for no reason, for something that you could have completely avoided if you had just distanced yourself further and not saying go away completely. That's something else entirely. Give yourself distance because you can always love somebody from a distance.
Well, uh, the words mean a lot. And so I first would suggest defining friendship, right? What does a friendship look like? What's the boundaries to this friendship? What's the expectations to this friendship? To your question, like, how do you deal with a friend that's negative? You know, are you scared of the rejection of your honest feedback? Then we circle all the way back to the beginning when I talked about conditional happiness. So the happiness of this friendship is conditional as long as you keep your mouth shut and don't say nothing critical, right? So we cannot, I should not say that. I don't think it's healthy to be in any relationship if you can't be honest, right? That's a tough part because a lot of people don't want to hurt other people's feelings by saying something or being feeling rejected. But then if it doesn't get said, then what do we do? You know what I'm saying? We're just in this friendship for me to be a yes man to you, right? And neither one of us grow, and we just stay stagnant. You know, my mom used to tell me all the time, misery loves company. Um, and so if you're in a relationship and you feel as though you can't say what's on your mind, then you're falling in, you're an enabler. You're an enabler to this other person's misery and to your own. So I think, you got to define the friendship first and then see how you address that part of dealing with someone who's negative. I was talking to some high schoolers last week and I told them, and I'll say this here, you know, you show me, you know, five of your friends, and if four of them got F's, you probably got an F. So you show me your friends, and if four of them got a bad attitude, then you probably got a bad attitude. So these are the things we need to discuss when we start talking about the friendship part, and then we can start getting to the root cause of why we're even in this relationship as a friend. And I can't speak my honest truth, you know. So that's how I would look at that.
Y'all better come through. Okay, I gotta take a moment to read this comment that came through live. Because yes, we have live. So shout out to Jack's Law for watching us. But I love this comment. I think the hardest part of living in so much rejection is when you do open up to someone you care about, and in their weakest moments, they use it to hurt you. And I think that is what a lot of people feel, especially in moments where you're talking about those friendships. And I, Smitty, to your point, I love what you said too, because you brought up we should not have to always or constantly feel like we are just being the yes person to our friend out of fear that they're going to reject our honest answer. And I'm also a firm believer, and sometimes we need space. And so, listen, the I love you from afar is real because I'm not going to live in your negativity. And so, those of you that know me know that I'm a pretty positive person. I do not dwell on constant complaining people. I do not dwell in negativity. And so, if you're not coming to me with a solution, why are we talking? So again, I can feel you having a moment in that moment, but if your moment is a constant and you're doing absolutely nothing to make changes about it, boo, you the problem. You're your own problem. But again, when we think about like those feelings of rejection, sometimes that friend may feel like your response is a rejection. Just like we're feeling like you rejected my advice. Look, you came to me with the problem and I'm giving you said advice and you rejected my advice. So sometimes we have to take a look at us too as the friend, because when your friend came to you, did they really want your advice? Did they ask you for advice, or are you just giving it? Or did they really just want you to listen to what they had to say and not offer anything at all? So sometimes we have to check how we show up for our friends so that we don't feel rejected and they don't either. So I take those things into account, and I feel like it's something that we could all kind of take into account. But yeah, I think that that's a great question, because I love things, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. That is a true, very, very true statement. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves of that We can't want more for a person than they want for themselves. Because at the end of the day, like Lamar said, it's their life and it's their choice. We have to remind ourselves of that, because as people who genuinely, because I know I have a lot of caring individuals on this platform, and sometimes we will overexert ourselves because we believe in a person's potential, we believe in what they can be and what they can become, but sometimes they don't believe it. And if they don't believe it, all that energy that you're pouring into, they rejected all of that. And to them, it feels like you're rejecting them because you're not allowing me to be me. And to you, it feels like they're rejecting you because you're not listening to what I'm telling you. So rejection is going to be felt on both sides, and that's where hurt feelings come in, miscommunication forms, and then fallouts happen, right? So firm believer and giving space. I think you need a moment, and so do I.
Look,
Yes. These were all. Oh, what do you have to say, Lamar?
I was gonna say, after all this, the final note of the coffin is me saying, the truth hurts. It will sting, but truth is needed to move forward. When all that negativity, we need the truth. They need to see the truth at some point, or else they will not move forward in life. They will not move forward mentally. They will not move forward in the workforce. They will not move forward physically. If they can't find their own truth, then they're just going to stay miserable forever, which is not something they want, which is not something we want, but it's clearly something they want if they're not going to make any effort to seek that truth and move forward. So, the truth will hurt, but you have to find it.
I love that, Lamar. And I'm going to challenge you on that one, because now we got to think, is that truth our truth or is that truth their truth? Whose truth is it? So always remember that too. So as you are throwing out truths, whose truth is it really? Because is it your perception of their truth or is it really their truth? So sometimes we do have to be mindful of that too.
Very good point. Very good point. I'm very glad I asked this question because over the past weeks, we've been talking about forms of rejection, but I don't feel like we got deeper when it comes to friendships. And friendships are super important because you're always going to have a friendship. And sometimes you're going to be introduced to a person who is that I think he's a mule from Winnie the Pooh. You're always going to meet that. You're always going to meet a pessimistic person that is just always negative. And sometimes that can get grown onto you, and you don't know how to be honest because you don't want to lose that friendship. So it's important to, like everybody said, be honest, understand the perspectives, and also ask, do you want advice or do you want me to hear you? Because I can give it to you, but I can also listen. Okay, so with that,
First of all,
oh,
I'm not gonna let you come for Eeyore like that. Like
oh
that
yeah,
was just
Eeyore.
like we not gonna do that because you're gonna let Eeyore
Look,
have his
I was
moment.
about to put that in the chat, sis. Like we just can't throw Ear under the bus like that. He is
Listen,
not here to
Eeyore
represent himself.
always had
He,
something
he is
going
he is
on.
he is not
Like,
here to defend himself.
it was just too much. Like, Eeyore, do you want a tail or not? You have to pick someday, honey. It's getting a lot for me. Oh, sometimes that's what you do with friendships. Like, okay, what do you want? As I don't even know. Okay, with that being said, what are tools teens and others can use to process and grow from setbacks?
I think for me, I would advise young people as a tool is learn to communicate. Learn to communicate, right? To speak, you're honest, and to listen um, independently. And what I mean by that is don't engage in a conversation expecting to hear what you want to expect, and don't listen for judgment's sake. Just listen. Just listen. And communication, I think, for a young person is a valuable tool, not only in the form of relationships, but in the social construct of everything else. Because now we can learn to either verbalize, write, whatever the case may be, to get our point across or to receive or comprehend a point. You know what I'm saying? So I think that is a critical tool that we should focus on. And to me, it's purposeful now because of the environment we live in with the cell phone being the key, almost the initial, maybe primary form of communication, where things are lost in tone, transition. You can't see a person's body, you can't hear their tone, you don't know what position they're in when they're texting or posting. So I think communication is key in a sense that we have to learn how to communicate with one another. And part of that is listening. Because like I said, I think that the cell phone has taken the in-person soft skills away from us. So everything is just how it's up for interpretation, right? I remember a joke, and I'm not going to say it here because it's not for young people, but it was just like one word can mean so many things, depending on how you say it and what environment you say it in. So I think communication is a great tool for young people to practice on.
Look, and with that, please, please use your voice and please use the people around you. Please use that communication and use it to get you that support system. Because that communication can extend to so many things. It can get you a new environment for you to thrive in and for you to experiment with what you need. That communication can get you a new job, and that can possibly lead up to a lot of different things like better people to be around. And plus that communication gets you to meet better people for you to be in that better environment and for you to be better suited for a position that you would like to be in. So that communication is key. And especially with the phones, I love that point that it takes away all of the conversational soft skills away because you are not in person. That person is not in front of you. So the question is, what do you mean by that? That will always be the question when on the phone. What do you mean by that? Which, by the tone of a person's voice, you can tell what they mean by that 90% of the time. So we need to start communicating, but I feel like more importantly, we need to start asking more questions so we can have more solutions. Because that's the only way solutions are going to be made if we start asking more questions.
I agree. I agree with both answers. Interpretations and being open and honest, those are very important things. I would also add letting things go. And when, yes, you are going to be honest with yourself, but importantly, letting things go and not taking it for yourself. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say somebody didn't pick you or somebody said no to you and you take that and you interpret it as they don't like me or oh gosh, like maybe I don't want to be around here, and now you have this emotion of embarrassment. You have to let it go. Try not to go straight to the negative factors because 98% it's not. And if it is, it shouldn't be something to set you back because that's just sometimes life. Life isn't full of peaches. It's not sweet as peaches too. So yeah, we have to remember that and with holding things on, it can cause anger and it can basically miss your blessing, as people say, but I say miss your blessing, period. If you hold that anger in, okay, you'll miss it. So, yeah.
Can I push back real quick? Can I push back?
Come
Uh,
on, Smith. Come on, Smith.
only because sis pushed back earlier. I don't want to miss my opportunity. I agree with everything you said, young sis. But the one thing for me as an older gentleman, just letting go, walking away, you carry some of that with you. I want young people to leave as whole as possible if they do decide to remove themselves from any scenario, relationship, or whatever. I think, and I'm only speaking my testimony, you walk away, if you just let go and you don't address why you're letting go, you carry that with you. Erica Badu said it best, bag lady. Shout out Erica. But you got to and there's a way of addressing it. I'm not saying be straight up, face forward in someone's face about it. I'm not saying that at all. Maybe you unpack it yourself quietly somewhere. I'm not sure. But just to walk away with that piece of energy, it will always be with you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And what I would hope is that we we progress as whole as we can be prior to that energy. You know what I'm saying? So instead of just having that negative thought back there, like, man, I should have did this, or I should have did that, or I should have said this, I wish I said that, or whatever the case is. So, and again, I agree with you, sis, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying for me, I would say think about how you're letting go, why you're letting go, and then let go, if that makes any sense. So,
I will say what I heard from all of y'all because I wrote it down. So just just doubling down here. I heard a tool is communication, a tool is support, and a tool is learning when to let go. And I love those tools. And I'm sorry because y'all know I gotta come and bring in it's the therapy side of me, right? Uh y'all too self-reflect. Because again, like we can do all the things, but if we don't look internally, what are we really doing? So I want us to learn to use self-reflection as a tool as well, because it can help you so much more. Sometimes we got to learn to take ownership and accountability for the part and the role that we play. Everybody didn't always do it to you. So how are we taking ownership of the part and the role for which we play? That would be the only other tool that I would like to add.
Look, but let me add on what Anastasia and Uncle Smith said, because you gonna let go, right? You gonna keep some of that with you. But if you don't keep any of that with you, I want you to keep something with you, but keep the positive with you. Because there's always something positive out of every negative situation. There's always something constructive out of everything bad. So I want you to look at the situation after the fact, after you let go and you have taken it with you. Never forget the situation. Because if you forget that situation, it's not going to help you. All you're doing is dumping it off in a fire somewhere. And it's not leaving anything of substance for you to pick up. So I want you to look at it from a neutral perspective, look at it from the outside, and ask yourself, out of this pile, what can I take that's going to help me construct, grow, and heal out of that hurt? Because as I said earlier, the truth will hurt. It may not be my truth. It may not be um mom's truth, but it's going to be a truth that you need to find. So take that and find that truth at the situation.
Wonderful. This was wonderful. Oh, I love how we just all integrate with our speeches, with our responses. I love it very much. I think how I would wrap all this up is just to remember to be honest, remember to communicate, remember to be aware and acknowledge who you are, what you do, and what is going on. So, before we wrap today's conversation, we want to shift from talking about growth to seeing it in action. And so, this month's theme is all about rejection, how it shapes us, how it challenges us, and teaches us how to move forward with confidence. And our youth program ambassadors, as you see right here, are taking that message one step further by connecting it to real life relationships and real life choices. So now we're passing the mic to one of our youth program ambassadors to share what they've been working on and how they can, or how can you can get involved.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Abigail Robles, a youth program ambassador with Steps Foundation, and I want to speak to you for a moment, especially if rejection has ever made you doubt yourself. This month, we've talked a lot about rejection and moving forward, and sometimes moving forward means recognizing when something or someone isn't healthy for us anymore. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and our advocacy initiative is rooted in one powerful belief: love should never hurt. If a relationship leaves you feeling anxious, controlled, isolated, or afraid to be yourself, that's not love. And choosing yourself in these moments isn't weakness, it's courage. That's why we're inviting teens and parents to come learn with us. Jeopardy in the Name of Love is happening on Sunday, February 22nd from 1 to 3 p.m. at Hart Memorial Library. Through an interactive game format, we'll break down what healthy relationships look like, how to recognize red flags early, and how to support friends who may be struggling. It's informative, empowering, and built for real conversations. And if you're committed to learning, healing, and growing, we've got more opportunities for you this month. Mock interviews, February 18th at 6 p.m. You can build confidence, communication skills, and readiness for jobs and internships. And then a youth mental health first aid, February 28th at 9:30 a.m. is a powerful certification that equips you to recognize and respond to mental health crises in youth. This month is more than events. It's about knowing your worth, protecting your peace, and choosing growth even when rejection hurts. You can register for events at www.stepsfoundation.org/events and follow us on social media. You deserve relationships that feel safe, you deserve support, and you deserve to move forward stronger than before.
Rejection can feel personal, painful, and even paralyzing, but it doesn't get the final say. What does? Resilience, self-worth, and growth. This month, we're leaning into the hard stuff. We're talking about the sting of rejection, the importance of knowing your worth, and how every no can lead into a greater yes. It's important that we remind ourselves that setbacks are set ups for something stronger, and that how we bounce back says more about us than any obstacle we face. So, as you move forward, remember you are not your missed opportunities, you are not your lowest moment. You are your resilience, your purpose, your next brave step. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and most of all, keep showing up for yourself with grace, confidence, and courage. Now, to close us out, I'm Dana Ortega, and it's been an honor wrapping up this powerful conversation with you. Thank you for being a part of Talk Tuesday this month. Remember, the power of positivity is always within you. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, stay true to yourself, stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep leading the way. Have a good evening.